world and kind of the sense that one of the reasons death hurts so much is that we love life so well. It's so dear to us. So I sort of just stumble on the idea that if you think about Lincoln going into a graveyard at night, who's there? It could be Lincoln himself narrating, would seem like a lot of work and kind of familiar territory. It could be a grave digger, but there's no reason he would be there that late. So I just thought maybe there's a sort of ghostly Greek chorus of other people who have died and not quite been able to accept it, and so they're kind of lingering around, some of them for 10, 20 years even, kind of willing themselves to stay. And one of the ways they do this is first they deny that they're dead. They don't know it, or they pretend not to know it. And second of all, they just do this thing that I guess actually living people do too, which is to kind of continually reestablish their identities by telling the same stories over and over again. So they're kind of telling to themselves who they are, why they're different from everyone else in the graveyard. So the main three are a former printer who died just before he consummated his marriage, a young gay guy who had his heart broken and committed suicide, and then a reverend who died sort of naturally, and then actually is the one of these ghosts who's kind of been the closest to the actual judgment day. So these three are kind of they become friends over the years, and they're kind of frozen in a pattern of kind of slothful selfishness. Really, they're just basically spend all their nights just trying to stay, basically, and not go on to the next thing. And then into this, there suddenly comes this young boy, and he kind of re-energizes them in a certain way.
What if you read a little bit for us? We should set the scene. In your telling, Willie is entombed in a grand catacomb, I guess a borrowed place there, then it is last resting place. And in fact, it wasn't. His body eventually went back to Illinois with his father,
right,
after Lincoln's assassination years later. But and of course that all takes place, and then that night, in your reimagination of this, a very tall man on a rather small horse shows up at the gate and comes into the cemetery. This is Oak Hill Cemetery in Georgetown, not still there, and makes his way back through the cemetery as these Greek courses, you say, of spirits watch on and comment, and you tell it sort of through their comments. And I wonder if you might read as he comes in and actually goes into the crypt and lifts the body of his son.
Sure. And what we're going to hear, there's actually three different people speaking, and in the book there are...
Ну вот, друзья, съездил я в мастерскую, прошел техосмотр и возвращаюсь домой. Сегодня у нас 26 марта, 21 градус тепла. С утра прошел дождичек, на улице хорошо, благодать. Это вот South River, южная речка. Да, это мой городок, моя деревня. Это магазин, называется Dollar General, а вот это большое, это похоронное бюро, и сразу в этом бюро, там он труба, видите, там крематорий. Кто не хочет хоронить в землю, могут кремировать своих родственников, и это дешевле, чем хоронить. Не надо платить за землю, за гроб. Это вот банкомат новый поставили. Это хозяйственный магазин. Дальше пожарное депо, вот это большое. Ну, это строительство дома, как строят здесь дома. Тот второй, который дальше уже построили. А этот вот еще в стадии строительства. посеяли траву, засыпали соломой, чтобы птицы не поклевали семена. Да. А вот мой домик. Да, это мой рыжик здесь ждет своего часа. Это моя улица. Вот такие дела.